So it wasn't an overall plan, it was, they kept changing what their plan was to try and fit the economics at the time.
Sure.
I don't know if that helps clarify any history to it.
And none of these lots can be subdivided any further?
They can.
These lots that are in 3?
As long as they can fit the septic and well on there.
Yeah, they'd be below the allotted amount of acreage, would they not?
1 acre is the minimum that DEQ allows.
So we could end up with 50 houses in here.
Mm-hmm.
At what point is that trip of traffic thing on this road? Is this road sufficient to handle?
Oh boy, that's, yeah. We don't even get into whether or not MDT can. We simply require that they apply for approach permit, but we don't look at whether or not it's going to increase traffic enough that the highway needs to be widened. If it was on a county road, that's different, then we have a say.
Is this
And then
Alaska
also-
Trail gonna become a county road?
Is that the road you were talking about? I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about Highway 287.
No, I'm talking about Alaska Trail.
I'm sorry, okay. No, that we do absolutely have a say, and no, it will not become a county road unless they petition for it to become a county road and the commissioners accept it. Which I'm not aware of that being in the works at all, but I'm
Okay.
simply saying it's not impossible, but that's how that process would work. And that road is built to handle up to 50 homes, because it's at a local number 1 standard.
This is more a highway. At any point, do any of these people go to the highway commission and say, you know, you need to do something with this turnoff? I mean, we've seen people killed in about 3 different locations out there because we don't have any turn lanes into any of these subdivisions. Do these developers ever approach the highway department about that?
I don't know if they ask them those questions. What the county requires is that they obtain an approach permit from MDT. And again, maybe that would trigger that conversation, but we don't, I'm not privy to that information. If they do have that discussion, that's not something that they inform me of.
Is that any part of our subdivision
No.
regulations? We can't have that regulation because the state doesn't have it.
Right, the only thing we can regulate is their approach onto the highway. Make sure it's wide enough and make sure it's appropriate site distance, and distance from, these are things that MDT regulates, not the county. I'm just telling you that's what the approach permit shows, that it's the appropriate distance from the next turnoff as well.
The more approach you put on it, the worse it is.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 3. The applicant will be required to submit the preliminary and final plat drawings in electronic format to Broadwater County in ArcGIS, AutoCAD, or MicroStation format. Additional materials may be requested by the county in electronic format to facilitate review of application materials. So this is just a copy of the email that Bernadette sent me with the DWG files attached.
These are all 2.9 acres, they could have split them off anyway.
They could go down to 1 acre if DEQ
Oh, it's
approves.
2.9, 2.9, yeah, I guess so.
Number 4, plans for the location and installation of individual mailboxes shall be reviewed and approved by the U.S. Postal Service prior to installation. Here's a letter from Postmaster Gail Boucher. Bernadette, do you have the most recent fire email that I should have taken from you earlier? I didn't have an opportunity to print mine off. Can I borrow them?
Yes,
I should have just said yes when you offered them to me earlier. I don't know
and I
why.
spoke to Ed right before I came
Oh,
here,
perfect. So you
so
have
I can,
information to share on that? Okay, I'll let you share
No,
first
that'll
before I
be
say
solid
anything
houses
when
there.
Laura gets back.
That
Did he
that
say no
stinks.
more? Okay,
no, we were, yeah, he's
Good,
he's
okay.
good.
all right. When Laura comes back, Bernadette has been diligently working with Fire Chief Ed Schindel on this property and this project, so we're at the 11th hour trying to come up to some type of resolution.
I think they can't be allowed to break those up anymore.
What's that?
They should be not allowed to break those up anymore, as far as I'm concerned. They break these damn things up, they have an acre, and a fraction. They jam all these things in there, try to get the wells and septic tanks. I mean, it shouldn't be the way I'm concerned. I've seen it before, I've worked on them before, and some of those.
And I'm sure it's
Sheesh.
difficult to maneuver through them. You
Huh?
know, it's probably similar to being in town. You know, you're barely on an acre with some of these pieces, but that's the law. So regarding fire, I'm going to turn the floor over to Bernadette because we've been working, Bernadette, very diligently on trying to come up with a resolution with fire. So here's the packet of emails and everything. So Bernadette, do you have information to share?
Long story short, yes, we've been trying to work with the fire department on a fire supply system for the subdivision. Ed wanted to see this subdivision install and plumb two 10,000 gallon tanks into the Grandview Manor water system across the highway, or north of them. And so the landowner agreed to do that, and we got a bid, and with the fires going on and BSE being out, it's been difficult, but we got an approximate bid of $10,000 to bury those two 10,000 gallon tanks and to have them connected together. But also the fire department wanted to go into a cost share with how much Grandview Manor spent putting the initial fire supply system in. And anyways, he has not had time to pull all that information up. So what the landowner did was initially give a $10,000 check to prepay BSE to install the tanks as the fire department requested. But of course, he's off busy fighting fires, so it's not completed yet, but paid for. But as far as what a per lot fee from the fire department on top of this is, Ed was trying to figure out, depending on, like I said, how much they had initially put into the original system, and do a per lot fee at a later date that would cover this subdivision. So I just spoke to him on the phone, that's kind of why I was running late coming in here, visiting with him. We didn't want to come to the commission with, well, there may be another fee later and things up in the air. So Ed has agreed that they will pay the initial $5,000 per lieu of fire fee for this subdivision. And then when we bring in Lake Vista 4, hopefully he'll have those items together. He'll pay the additional, again, $5,000. That'll cover the $10,000 for BSE. And he'll have the figures of any other fees that he'll have to pay at a later date.
Yeah, how are they gonna put a well there to fill these?
There's already a well over there with the original, and there's only one 10,000 gallon tank. And I guess Ed was telling me the insurance only recognizes a 30,000 gallon water supply system. So that's why he wanted two more 10,000 gallon tanks buried and connected with that. Then they'll have 30,000 gallon storage.
So these are all gonna be one location?
Yes, it'll all be in one location, you know, and that works good for the fire department too, because it's right there in the area, but they don't have a whole bunch of little ones, I guess, around. So the 10,000 the 2 tanks are sitting there, the fire department had procured them, and so he's going to just pay to have them installed. But he'll do his 5,000 now, as per the subdivision regulations, but Ed said he'll just credit that off of the fee to BSC or whatever, and work up what the additional fee, if any, is. He said it may not be anything if they paid less than 10,000 for the original system as a cost sharing, or, so.
And
but
the
he was-
developer's aware of that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we don't need anything in writing at this point because it's $1,000 per lot anyway.
Right.
Okay.
So essentially, the developer is going to pay the $1,000 per lot cash in lieu of water supply, and which
And
is
the rest
acceptable
with
to the fire department.
department.
All right. But the end game is a plan for a 30,000 gallon water supply system.
Correct.
All right.
Number 6 is the weed management plan.
Thank you.
Number 7, this is their covenants, along with the county required covenants. I was just reading over those covenants, the non-commission required covenants, I'm sorry, the ones that you're not a party to. And it does not say that they can't be further split, so.
Just out of curiosity, Nicole, do you know if either of the spec homes is on the front lots?
They are on lot, well, I'm not sure where the newest spec home, I'm not sure if that will be on lot 2 or lot 3, or proposed lot 2 or lot 3 of Lake Vista 4.
Okay.
But I know that the one that's almost complete is on lot 2 of Lake Vista
I
3.
think they're right across from
Are they
each other.
straight across from each other? Okay. So
Which
it will
is-
also be on lot 2.
These lots are being submitted and reviewed for commercial lots. And I was thinking how smart it is off the highway to have commercial lots, so I was just,
Mhm.
on a personal note, hoping that they hadn't put homes there.
On the front 2 lots. And the covenants do state that they will be used for residential, this lot 3. Bernadette and I had a conversation about that, so the developer changed his mind after
Oh.
talking with DEQ, I believe. Is that what changed his mind on making them commercial, or he just wants them all residential for lot 3?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, the other 3 remaining lots of the original Lake Vista are still residential commercial.
Okay,
But he chose not to proceed with commercial on those.
okay.
I think he just thought it'd be better to sell them as residents so that the people wouldn't have to worry about commercial. Like, he's been approached to have storage units, commercial, since they're commercial, on one of the back lot. And I don't think he wanted to do that because then it just draws a lot of traffic and all to where what he wanted, just a residential area.
Nice.
But, so, I think that's why he went away from the commercial aspect, to just keep it as a residence area.
All right. So he's kind of got a community in mind for this area, it
Yes.
sounds like.
Eight A states any necessary improvements required by the stormwater drainage plan, weed management plan, fire protection plan, or approach permits, and there's no additional requirements there, so nothing to provide you. 8B, utilities abutting and available to each lot. Electrical and telephone shall be underground, so here is the customer agreement from Northwestern Energy,
Thank you.
and that has been paid by the developer. While you're reading over that, I'm gonna pass 9A and 9B around together. 9A is proof that all taxes and special assessments assessed and levied on the property are paid for the current tax year, including any past delinquencies. And B, provide documentation showing that the applicant is the lawful owner of the property with the apparent authority to subdivide the same, showing the names of lien holders or claimants of record and the written consent to the subdivision by the owners of the land, if other than the applicant, and any lien holders or claimants of record against the land. So that shows that their taxes have been paid, they are up to date there, and they are the lawful owners of the property.
Any more questions or comments on this from Nicole?
I don't.
I don't know.
I will move to grant final plat approval for Lake Vista, number 3.
I'll second the motion.
They move to second approve. Final plot approval on Vista 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Would you please? There are 4 sheets here to be signed. Perfect, I'll take them. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you as well.
Okay, thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Guess you're
Have a
all.
good day. I'm done now.
Thank you.
There's your TV commissioners on that one.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Do we have, we tentatively agreed, didn't we, for her to go ahead in the public health building there, so we could go ahead and sign this off then? Okay, evidently this is the.
Yeah,
Kelly.
we were gonna try to prorate this thing in some way, were we not?
Yeah, we agreed to actually put it on the agenda for the 26th, when we should have an
Okay.
answer from Corey back, and to engage Brian Hopkins in the meantime, since Corey is gone. And then also Teresa was gonna put together what she thought was enough to cover utilities for the space. And we can work with her on an
And
amount to
then
put in
we'll have to
there.
get a begin and termination date on it before
Yeah.
we can sign it, so, okay.
Yeah, and also to readdress it at the 6-month period, so, well, at this point it'd be 3-month period, but the end of the calendar year and then the end of the fiscal year would be my proposal.
Sounds well.
And that, it should be stated for the public what the report says. It says there's nothing in the water, that it's a clean sample. Public has a right to know that.
Claims here in the amount of $99,671.14.
I'll make a motion to pay claims and set them out.
Second.
Moved and second to pay claims in the amount of $99,671.14. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Department of Public Health and Human Services there. Jody Brooks.
Mike, what that is a task order, and we sign a 10-year agreement with EPHHS, and then every year we get an annual renewal. That is an annual renewal for the WIC program, which is well infant and children. So I will move that we sign the updated or the annual task order for WIC.
I'll second the motion.
Moved and second, we signed the annual order with, Department of Health and Human Services. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
One signature requirement.
Yeah. The 10-year one is more complicated.
Aeronautics grant audit.
Did you talk to Bill by any chance,
Bill,
Berkland?
uh-uh,
Did they did airport last week, did they not?
I think so, I haven't gotten an update. Bill will be at our conference next week,
Oh, okay.
so it's a good time to check in and catch up. He's a good one to try and have lunch with.
Is he buying?
Well, it's paid for in the conference, but sitting with him at the table, you get a chance to get some good in-depth information about our airport.
So this deal with Dana was talking about with the FEMA deal, is that gonna get, that won't get signed, that's already funded? Or we don't?
Yeah, that's what Sean Higley's been here talking to us about frequently. That's the bridges project, Clopton Lane,
Yeah,
all that. And yeah, we just have to wait for FEMA to give their blessing. This needs to be announced, if you'd give that back to the chairman.
Is that going to be, they won't cut that because of all the hurricanes, the fires and all that funding, will it?
No, it'll be
Basically
a-
already been in this year's budget already, okay.
Yeah, and they've got different silos within FEMA that handle the different things that they do.
That to Melissa.
Franklin, by law, you have to announce those public meetings so that we meet the open meeting requirements of the state constitution.
Here from Mako, it's a notice of annual meeting, election of officers, approval of 2016 annual meeting minutes, amendment of bylaws, and any other business that may properly come before the membership. It'll be, this is held on September 17th to 21st. Bozeman.
And then there was also that paperwork, Franklin, that I gave you at the beginning of the meeting that was dropped off with me by a citizen.
Can we get copies of this?
I'd like some, but we need to give them to the minute taker for official purposes, and then we can get copies.
I guess we just let her put it down in the minutes there. What's his name? Craig Burns. They're really gonna bring a suit against Cory over the child support and that, all that stuff.
The yellow sheet too, Franklin, that's in our mail, if you could,
I'm gonna give it to Michelle to make out a claim on it.
who's paying it?
It's billed to the county, I don't know.
It's not the county's, and that's why I asked that it be put in our mail, Franklin, so that we could discuss that as a commission. Those are signs that the hospital requested Dana order for the back lot here, so that there are no cars when that huge MRI machine comes in. I would like to propose that we give the bill to Jenny for the hospital to pay, since that is for the hospital. Talked to Dana, he doesn't feel his department should have to pay it, and I agree. We also agreed on this when we agreed to let them order the signs.
Tell Michelle to turn it over to the.
Are we in
Jenny at the
agreement
hospital.
as a commission on that?
I would agree with that, that bill be sent over to the hospital.
Then I concur with that too, Franklin, if you would please proceed.
Okay, the second, we send that bill over to the hospital for the parking signs. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, well,
You had mentioned you wanted to move the Commissioners'
okay,
Community
community
Update to
update,
the
go with
agenda of the
that.
meeting.
You got anything on that for an update or anything?
I do. It was a busy week last week. We had the Youth Justice Council meeting. One of the issues we're grappling with is the increased costs of detention and the lack of funding. So we are working on a 3-year plan for that. We also had a Toston Bridge meeting, and it looks like they are moving that along with a target date of 2019. And I also attended the city council meeting specifically to give them a BOR land acquisition update and get their feedback on this new management board.
Go ahead.
The only other thing is the impact fees. We did have a request that we look into implementing impact fees. I did reach out to a number of other counties and sent forward their responses on that subject. Mike, you were involved in that, and it looks like it is a legal issue that prohibits impact fees, which is why we haven't addressed it. That's it.
I went to the Toston Bridge meeting and also attended the Silos campground yearly inspection with the BOR people.
I did the same, those same 2 meetings. Rest of it was just business as usual.
So for this next week, or a week and a half from now, are you both going to the Mako conference?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. I would suggest and request, Mike, that you take an opportunity at that conference to talk with Eric and some other commissioners about what it is that commissioners are required to do, why it is that we're here, and what our responsibility is, especially regarding the budget. Just because of what we talked about earlier with Michelle, some of the reactions that we've gotten to the budget, how that's been handled. What is it that's a commissioner's job in relation to that? And I'd like you to hear from somebody other than me on that. And then I will be gone from Wednesday through Friday this week. We have the Montana Board of Crime Control retreat, and that's where we will actually determine the goals for the state regarding crime prevention. So if you guys have any input, any concerns, share those with me before Wednesday if you would. And happy Patriots Day today.
Okay, with that, we'll adjourn at 12:38.
We have a Board of Health meeting on the 13th, right? I believe that's what that came with those emails.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think I already told the board via email that I would be
That you
at
were not
this
gonna be.
retreat, yeah.
Okay.
I don't have that down, it's the 13th, you said?
13th, yeah, at,
Thanks, Mel, it's wonderful having you join us.
Thank you.
I know you have a full plate, so especially
it's all
huge,
the
thank
union
you.
meeting's
Yeah,
canceled.
no,
Yeah,
it's
I
all
have
good,
that
thank
down.
you very much.
What time is that Board of Health meeting? 1 o'clock?
I believe so. I'll look through my email, but I believe that's what it is.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down here, so I'll have,
If it's not, I'll contact.
okay.
And that goes on when?
I load it onto YouTube, and I'm trying to do it the same day.
Okay, so I'll
Question
just
time.
get my note, my draft and just look it up and